right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no L's, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change, yeah. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. I do not gamble, but bet on me. Tell them that's like, yeah, it's still of it. I'm taking a shot for my enemies. I can't waste no more time on my energy. I know they know I got it on lock. Go against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm counting wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Who do you feel when they make you the monster? I am not scared of none of you imposters. Taking the lead now while they watching. Think you should leave now while the option. Taking no L's, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. I'm running the game now. Foot on the gas, can slow down, no.
Let's fucking go. I know that the graphic has not been updated. Frankly, I don't care. That was an unreal fucking victory. Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac. And with tonight's win, the Cavaliers have now won their fourth straight game. It's just the third time Cleveland has managed to open a season by winning four straight games. And it's something they haven't accomplished since the 2016-17 season, where they reeled off 6 straight wins to begin the year. Such a different time in the NBA, might I say. It was the season following the franchise's first and only title, and it marked yet another great year that saw the team finish as the Eastern Conference's second-seeded team at 51-31. Wow, just listen to that. 51 wins was enough to grab the second seed back then. That's crazy. And had the Golden State Warriors not stacked the goddamn deck that season by adding Kevin Durant to the NBA's winningest team ever, the Cavaliers likely repeat his chance. Just my opinion. But whatever. That was 8 years ago. All we can do is move forward, taking care of things one game at a time. And tonight, that started with the New York Knicks. Cleveland's primary objective was to hand the new look New York, I'm just so hype right now, man. They had to hand him an L, y'all. We know the story. The New York Knicks revamped their roster by trading for both Karl Anthony Towns and Michael Bridges in separate moves that shook up their roster in a major way. Gone are the likes of Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, Bojan Bogdanovic, and a treasure trove of picks, including 5 first fucking round picks, 4 unprotected and 1 protected, as well as a few seconds for good measure, I guess. Those were effectively New York's all-in moves, cashing in on the litany of picks and players in an attempt to gain ground on Boston. And if you ask me, the jury is obviously still out on whether or not this will work out, as we're just 4 games into the season, obviously. But if for one night only, the trade did not help them win. Make no mistake, this was a big game for both franchises, especially Cleveland. Especially after Cleveland basically did the polar opposite of what the Knicks did this offseason and chose to go all in on their core, choosing to re-sign the likes of Donovan Mitchell, a player who once was heavily connected to New York via the rumor mill. They also inked Evan Mobley to a massive rookie extension. And perhaps most telling of all, they re-upped Jarrett Allen, a gentle giant who was well on his way towards proving all his haters wrong before succumbing to a brutal rib injury midway through the first round series last season, telling the mainstream NBA media outlets to suck it. These are our guys, and we believe in them. And I'm glad they did. Essentially, what I'm saying is that the Cavaliers bet on themselves, and so far, so fucking good. They entered tonight's game graded and rated highly in numerous categories. They ranked second in offensive rating coming into tonight at 125.5. They ranked fourth in defensive rating at 105.2. And as a result, owned the NBA's second best net rating at 20.3. They enter with the highest true shooting percentage at 65.4. They are first in points off turnovers at 27 points per game. They are shooting 43.7% from 3-point distance, trailing only Boston's 44.2%. They hold the NBA's highest overall field goal percentage at 54.5%. They are scoring the NBA's most points at 128 points per game. They are 7th in assists at 28 per game. They were 10th in turnovers at just 14.3 per game. They are 3rd in steals, swiping the ball 12 times per game. They are 3rd in blocks at 7.7 per game. Ladies and gentlemen of the basketball court, I could go on, but I know that's not what you guys are here to listen to. You want to know about how they did tonight. Well, let's dig in. Heading into this very anticipated matchup, I was interested in a few things. I was interested in a very, very long list of things. And I got to take a moment to take this in. I got to take a moment to take this in because Cleveland, they look like a team that can battle back against just about anybody out there. This was a playoff like game. This was a playoff like atmosphere. I know we all felt that. I know that we all felt the intensity that was out there. This was just something. There was something about this game that had the feel of a playoff series. I don't know. It was just so much to take in. I know we were all of our palms are getting sweaty. We're all looking at the score of this game down the stretch thinking, are the Cavaliers going to hold on? And they managed to do so. They held on tight, and I am so fucking proud of this team, and I'm so fucking proud of Darius Garland in particular. We're going to talk about him in just a moment. But as I was saying, coming into this very highly anticipated contest, there were some things that I was interested in. Number one was defensive matchups, individual matchups. Who would be defending who? Would Jalen Brunson be defended by Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell? Would Evan Mobley or Jarrett Allen take the tall task of defending Karl Anthony Towns? And of course, Dean Wade versus Michael Bridges. Let's not forget OG as well. Wasn't long either before we got answers to all of these questions. And to be honest, it was all over the place. There was a lot of switching out there as teams tend to switch more often than not or force switches. And York is pretty damn good at doing that. And I was really wanting to see how Kenny Atkinson would defend these individual players, being that each one kind of presents their own challenges, right? Jalen Brunson is a phenomenal scorer and pretty damn solid facilitator. Josh Hart is an all-around glue guy at times. We saw that again tonight as we did in that Knicks series a few years back. And he's by no means a lockdown shooter, but this man is efficient as hell inside of 5 feet. As he's prior to tonight went 8 of 9 from inside the restricted area so far through the previous 2 games. And he's a high level rebounder. And I can't say enough. I cannot say enough good things about how good of a rebounder that Josh Hart is. He gets all my respect in that regard. This dude at 6'4" pulled down 13 rebounds. Second to only Jarrett Allen's 15 tonight. This dude is a menace on the glass. And the worst part about the Josh Hart rebounds is that they're coming on the offensive end, right? They're coming on the offensive glass. So they're either tip ins or they're getting and generating additional possessions for the Knicks, which you hate to see because they have been pretty efficient this year. They entered very efficiently as the Cleveland Cavaliers did. Not necessarily a great night from an efficiency standpoint for either team. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this dude had his stat line tonight of 16 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. He does it all. And it's not hard to see why teams why Knicks fans may love having Josh Hart on their roster. This dude is just a menace out there on the glass. I'm sorry. I know I went on a tangent there, but I got to give dude his respect because that was some killer shit out there. Outside of Brunson and Hart, you still got Michael Bridges out there who's, was being miscast as number 1 option in Brooklyn. He's gone from being a number 1 in Brooklyn to perhaps being a number 3 for New York behind Brunson and Cat. That said, what makes him even more dangerous with this team is that he's going to, he's not going to have so much defensive attention around him. So he could possibly get back to his previous form. And since he may no longer have to shoulder such a large offensive load, he could even turn into a high-level two-way player that he was once known for being. And you also got OG out there, one of the better two-way players in the NBA. And at 6'7", 6'8", wherever you look, he's got positional versatility. And Cat, while defensively challenged, is still one of the NBA's best bigs out there. He can space the floor. He can rebound with the best of them, and he can beat you down low if need be as well, even if he is hooking like every other fucking drive. That shit was ridiculous tonight. I digress. They got some solid contributors on the bench too, in Cameron Payne, Miles McBride, and Jericho Sims. But it's truly their starting five that could cause problems for teams. And if you ask me how I would describe their play tonight, I would, in one word, I'd probably say aggressive. They were physical as hell. That said, the Cleveland defense, my God, they put the clamps on these guys when it mattered the most. And let's make no mistake here. New York, they had a pretty substantial offense heading into tonight. They came into tonight averaging 118 points per game, which is the 8th highest mark in the association. They came in shooting 53.7% from the field, the 2nd highest behind only Cleveland. They came in knocking down 40.4% of their triples, which is 3rd highest. And Cleveland held them below all of these averages, ladies and gentlemen. Cleveland just shut it down. They shut it down from a defensive standpoint. And I absolutely love the fact that they were able to do that tonight. And everybody really chipped in from top to bottom. And, you know, there were definitely points where both teams probably could have knocked down the shots that they were given because, you know, Cleveland, they had a lot of good looks that they were just not knocking down in the first half. And New York was much the same way. These teams were not shooting very well at all in that first half, but Cleveland managed to turn things on in a major way in the second half. And that started at the top of their stars and Darius Garland, who had a massive night from beyond the arc. Now, we heard so much talk this offseason about getting Darius Garland more three-point opportunities, like somewhere around 9-10 per game, 9-10 per game. He only took 8 tonight, but what he did with those attempts was be efficient as hell on his own. He was 12 of 19 from the field, which led all starters for Cleveland. It may have even, it led all starters for Cleveland. And then 5 of 8 from three-point distance. That's 62.5% from three-point range for one Darius Garland, and totaling 34 points on the night, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. This dude filled up the stat sheet. He did that in little under 33 minutes. For all the people out there that were wanting to trade Darius Garland, this is one of the fucking reasons why you don't do that. He can take over in a big game. He can take over in big games. And make no mistake, this was a big game. Yes, it's the regular season, but there are some matchups that you just circle on your schedule. There are certain matchups that you circle on your calendar, and you just know that you got to bring it. You got to bring the mentality, and you got to get a mental edge on teams like this, because New York will beat your ass down into a bloody pulp if you let them, if you don't stand up to them bullying you, especially on the glass. And it was looking that way in the first half, especially Josh Hart, who, if I'm not mistaken, had double-digit rebounds by the second quarter, right? They pulled down 11 offensive rebounds to Cleveland 0 in the first half. That was frustrating as hell as a fan to watch that play out. The rebound disparity was just alarming in the first half of this game, but they were able to, get back around and pull down 49 rebounds by the end of it to New York's 51. But I tell you, that does not tell you how bad it was from a rebounding perspective in that first half. In that first half, Cleveland was down 28-20 on the offensive glass. It was just awful. It was ugly, man. It was ugly. And I don't know what Kenny Atkinson's halftime speech was. On social media, I was saying, it better be leading off with the rebounding and the boxing out. But whatever the fuck they said at halftime must have clicked and must have worked. And I got to give props to Kenny Atkinson because he came out in the second half and he really, really had these guys playing quality basketball. And just to kind of paint you a picture here, the Cavaliers trailed by as much as 13, in the third, and they finally took the lead after fighting and scratching and clawing back on a George Niang triple with little over 10 minutes left in the game. They frankly just didn't look back. Just this ability that they have to turn it on when it matters most. This could come down in handy fashion in big time matchups like this. And this was just such a phenomenal performance from top to bottom from these guys. But man, this one feels good because it's not every day that you get your ass handed to you from a physicality standpoint in the first half and you're able to turn things around. It doesn't happen because when teams get up on you like that, they feel like they have a mental edge on you. They will just run you roughshod into the ground. In New York, they're pretty famous for doing that. I want to call them front runners, but they're definitely a team that if they get up on you, they're not going to take their foot off the pedal. And tonight just had the feel of a playoff atmosphere. The Cavaliers win by a score of 110-104 tonight. And sheesh, you really had to rely on your stars. This is the first game of the season, mind you, that Kenny really, really had to lean on his starters out there. Mobley played a team high 36 minutes. Donovan Mitchell had 33. Darius had 33. Jarrett had 31. And then Dean Wade uncharacteristically played 28 minutes tonight. And we'll talk about Dean here in a minute because I gotta give it to Dean. Was not the best game from him from a statistical standpoint, but his defense out there on Jalen Brunson, because he saw a lot of possessions matched up against Jalen Brunson. They would try and switch and get a better matchup for Jalen. But for the most part, what they absolutely did when Dean was out there is make sure that he was in front of Jalen Brunson whenever he could be. And I just felt like he denied him a lot better of a game than he definitely could have had. Brunson finished the night with 21 points on 8 of 24. So it was not an efficient night for him at all. And conversely, Dean Wade, the man that was tasked with defending him, it felt so often, would finish the game with just 1 point. 1 point, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 of 5 from the field, did not make a single shot, missed one of his 2 free throws, and finished as a minus 14. I mean, all that said, I don't think you win this game without Dean Wade's defense. I don't think you win this game without some of the plays that he made out there and taking some of the shit away at the rim. You just don't. The starters, they put in work. Everybody else outside of Dean was finished in double figures. Evan had 17. Donovan finished with 25. We already covered Darius's 34. And Jarrett Allen had 15 and 15. The bench was not nearly as productive as we have been accustomed to these last couple of games. Just a combined, let's see here, if I can do math correctly, 11, 16, 18 points. A combined 18 points, if I'm not mistaken, from Karis LeVert, Sam Merrill, George Niang, Isaac Okoro, and Ty Jerome. Gotta have more. Gotta have more in a matchup like this. And it's not like they weren't being given minutes because Karis played 26 tonight. Sam played 22 tonight. Sam Merrill, by the way, Sam Merrill gave the Cavaliers some quality minutes. Although he did not score a ton, although he did technically knock down 40% of his triples. He was 2 of 5 from 3-point distance. He made some quality plays out there, especially on the defensive end. And his 2 rebounds were definitely a clutch. They came up, man. They came up clutch. And George Niang Niang went 2 of 6 from the field, but even he was given some quality minutes out there. There was that one offensive rebound where he was really fighting and hustling out there and got the job done. And then the triple that he gave the Cavs to take the lead, that was big. That was big, especially in a night where Dean Wade is kind of struggling out there and you need somebody to give you some sort of a spark from 3-point distance in the front court. But this game was really, really about the starters. And Darius Garland was the one guy out there that he refused. He absolutely refused to let this team die. And you just love to see that because there were so many people out there that wanted to trade this dude. And I get it. It's only one game. Darius is going to have some stinkers. He didn't start the season off necessarily that great, but games like this are a constant reminder of how talented Darius Garland is. It is absolutely imperative that we get this young man going in order for the Cavaliers to really, really kick off the win streak here, because we're sitting at 4 games, but we got a tough stretch of games ahead of us. But getting Darius Garland to perform big time in this game, moving forward, I feel like we can beat anybody. We got LA, Orlando, Milwaukee, and then New Orleans and Golden State coming up. Big time matchups. But a win like tonight where Darius just takes it upon himself to not necessarily force the issue, but takes it upon himself to shoot the Cavaliers back into the game. It was big time. And I know that the stat sheet is going to say that Darius only finished with 3 assists, but I am very curious to see what the potential assist numbers are when it's all said and done. When those numbers are posted, I will definitely take a look at him, because it just felt like Darius really was putting guys in good positions out there, but they just couldn't knock down their goddamn shots. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I was angry in real time, but I'll give it a break on there. 4-0 is 4-0, as Tune In Sports says down here. Real Talk Tone says Dean Wade has been bad 3 or 4 games, and we've only played one good team, but everyone ignores it when he plays bad. I can't agree with you, man. I mean, if you're talking from a pure statistical standpoint, it's not going to look great for him. But Dean's defense of Jalen Brunson, if you watch the game, it was crucial. And that was the reason why he did play 28 minutes out there, despite going 0-5 from the field. So I do not feel like Dean has been bad in 3 of the 4 games. It's not all about point production, especially on a team that has 4 all-star caliber starters. What we do need from Dean, though, is to continue pulling the shots, continue being somebody out there who is unafraid to take and pull from 3-point distance, rebound the basketball, and play defense. And until Max comes back, we need him to be that volume shooter out there. And I see your comment down there about plus minus. Fuck a plus minus. I don't care about a plus minus all the time. Just to paint a word picture on that, Darius Garland, if I'm not mistaken, was a +7 tonight. Are we going to question? Are we going to question how good or bad Darius Garland was based upon a plus minus? Because you got players on the bench. Karis LeVert was a +19 tonight. You can take plus minus with a grain of salt. If Karis LeVert is a +19 and Darius Garland is only a +7, what does that tell you? Do not rely on plus minus for how good or bad a player is. That said, Dean Wade does have to be better moving forward. That's all I'll say on the matter. I'm not trying to get on you too much, man, but you got to do the math, man. Do the math. He says you can't compare +7 to -19. It's 12 better, bro. It's 12 better. The point is that you cannot rely upon plus minus as the sole measurement. And I don't think he was bad either. If he does not keep Jalen Brunson in check again, Jalen finished just 8 of 24, and he was the defender on many of those possessions. I'll post the highlight reel once we have it up, once it's available. But he was the defensive. He was putting a lot of defensive pressure on Jalen Brunson. They don't win the game if he isn't limiting him. That's all I know. That is all I know. At the end of the day, that is why people laugh. That is why people laugh when you use metrics like plus minus to describe how good or bad a player was. Just because it's not really something that can go out there and prove or disprove how good or bad a player is. Sorry to go on a tangent like that, guys. It's just it's that type of shit right there that often just boils my blood, just like this game did at certain points with the offensive rebounding. I just cannot give New York enough praise for Josh Hart being out there and just pulling down everything in sight, because Cleveland in that first half, they just failed to box out. They failed to put bodies on Brunson, and it killed me every single time. Dr. Claw 77 says that double time out to get the Cavs out of backcourt danger was something we've never seen. Scoring off dead ball / inbounds and timeouts, amazing stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a sequence play out like that. So kudos to Kenny Atkinson for one, knowing the rules, and two, being able to execute near flawless inbounds plays, because it's been a complete 180 from what we're used to from the JB Bickerstaff era, where it just often seemed like JB could not craft an out of bounds, or an inbound play to save his life. Those types of things can really aid you in winning a game. It can be the difference between winning and losing. So it is amazing stuff. I completely agree with Claw down here. Jay Quest says the Knicks are good. Got to give them some credit. Doesn't mean Cavs play bad. Absolutely not. These are two teams that could very well meet in the playoffs in another 7-game series. And I would not be mad about it, because for one thing that we know, although we know that the Knicks have traditionally been a huge thorn in Cleveland side, is that there will be some good quality basketball being played, or at least we hope so on the Cleveland side. In and Out of the Abyss says, real talk, Tony, I never ignore Wade bad games. I'm his main critic. Dude never shoots well in big games. Yeah, I don't think he necessarily shot well tonight, but I'll excuse it because of the defense. Mormon says, do not underrate DG's defense. It's not from a lack of effort when he struggles on that end, but he came up huge in the first. He absolutely did. DG, just like other guards that are 6'2", 6'3", 6'1", and under, are going to be at a disadvantage, especially against teams that can exploit that type of weakness. You're at an inherent disadvantage if you're playing two smallish backcourts. No, but make no mistake, Donovan Mitchell certainly does not play at his listed size would indicate, and Darius Garland has improved as a defender over the years. He's just never going to be an elite point of attack defender. That's all I know. Rob says Wade and Mobley defense laid the foundation for the comeback down 13. Absolutely did. I value a lot of different things in this game. 3-point shooting, rebounding, but I also value high quality defense. His defense on Brunson was big time. Mobley's defense and protecting that rim, big time. Andrew says, wonderful day when 3 New York teams could possibly lose: Giants, Yankees, and Knicks. Yes, cannot stand New York teams. Leonardo T says, Mac, is that a DG jersey? No, it is not, my friends. It is an Evan Mobley jersey. Levert was really good too, even though it didn't show up in the scoring column, says Real Talk Tone. Yeah, I agree there. I think he came up big time. Me Not You says, I know it's easy early, but you think about all the changes the Knicks made. It feels good seeing continuity outperform free agency. Hell yes. That's what I led off with at the start of the pod. The Cavaliers this offseason basically did the polar opposite, right? They did the antithesis of what New York pulled. New York cashed in all their chips and said, fuck it. We need to reshape things and build around Jalen Brunson and company. And we're going to shuffle the deck here. We're going to send out Dante. We're going to send out Julius Randle, who needed a new contract. We're going to send out a number of these players. We're going to let go of Isaiah Hartenstein. And then they brought in some good players, right? Michael Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns are by no means bad players at all. Karl Anthony Towns, Cat, whatever you want to call him, he is still one of the best bigs in the league. But he is ass on defense. Michael Bridges is still trying to figure some shit out with his shot after changing things, right? There was apparently a hitch in his shot that he's trying to work out the kinks on. And tonight, he would finish the game with, I am not mistaken, 9 of 15, 1 of 4 from 3-point distance for 19 points. Not necessarily a bad night from an efficiency standpoint, but there's still some things that they're trying to figure out with Michael and how he is going to be used. Crofty says, Cat looked like a traffic cone for Mobley and Allen tonight. And that's been the case, right? We saw that first show its ugly head against Boston. We saw it again tonight. You can abuse Karl Anthony Towns inside of 5 feet. You can do it. It's just something. It's been the book on Karl Anthony Towns since he entered the league. It was like that with Minnesota for a number of years, but I love it, man. I love it. I love the fact that Cleveland was able to take advantage, and that's what you should do. Identify a weakness and exploit that, and that's going to be a huge problem for New York until they get Mitchell Robinson back, right? And I mean, to me, it's crazy. It is so crazy how this team is still able to pull down the amount of rebounds that they are. And listen, they don't have Mitchell Robinson available. They traded Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein is not in New York anymore. Yet they're still pulling down a shit ton of rebounds. It's crazy. And it's not like I can give them excuse, or I can give Cleveland the excuse of being undersized, because it's not like New York employs an oversized lineup, right? It's small guys out there, or guys that you wouldn't expect it to come from, like your Harts of the world, that are pulling down these massive rebound totals. Hart had 13. Towns is a good rebounder. He did pull down 10 rebounds tonight. Bridges pulled down 6. It was just crazy. It's just crazy to me that they're always able to manage to pull down big rebound totals against Cleveland, despite Cleveland having relative size advantages in certain areas. Me Not You says Towns always has the numbers, but never looks like someone you can really win with. And I think that is what Minnesota probably realizes, that this is just not going to work. We're not going to be able. And look how far they advanced in the playoffs last year in Minnesota, and they still decided to pull the trigger on that. Crazy. Leonardo T says, I love that Mobley went at Cat and other defenders with confidence, even if he missed. Gotta love it. And that's what you want to see from Evan Mobley, the confidence, right? Getting those additional touches. And he only finished with 12 field goal attempts tonight, but he was his efficient, normal self, 58.3% from the field, including 1 of 1 from 3-point distance on that lone triple. But he did the work when it mattered. He was big time in that third and fourth quarter. Just absolutely just love what I saw from top to bottom. Even if there were still some things out there that we need to shore up, clean up, it was still a win that you can point to and say, hey, you know what? This is for all the people out there that were saying we were playing shitty ass teams and beating up on small teams out there. This is the one. This is a big time victory, well earned. And again, this is just the third time in Cleveland's history that they have opened a season winning 4 straight. If I'm not mistaken, first was in 1972. The last time they were able to do this was the 2016-17 season, and now they've done it again tonight. Now I think they went 6 straight. Like I said, they went 6 straight that season. Can the Cavaliers do it? Can they do it to begin the season? How long can we keep this thing going? I think it's really a possibility that we can win at least 6 straight. Well, I'd say when we get to Milwaukee, that's when things get a little bit more challenging, because Milwaukee, although it's somebody that I feel that we do match up with pretty well, it's still somebody, with having Giannis and Dame out there, there's still somebody who are going to be probably a pain in our ass. But I do definitely believe we have enough of what it takes to beat the Lakers in Orlando, which is another highly anticipated rematch. That's one that I'm also looking forward to, but got to take things one game at a time. And tonight it was just such a phenomenal performance in the second half. That first half can go to hell. I'm going to throw that shit out. I don't want to watch the tape on it just because it pissed me off with how badly the Cavaliers were rebounding. But that second half was the stuff of legends, especially for individual performances from the likes of Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. You just love to see it. Real Talk Tone says Lakers have been better than Milwaukee this year, to be honest. Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed watching JJ Redick's Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think they win a title. I don't think they're a real contender, but I certainly believe that they're in a much better position this year than they were either of the last 2 seasons under Darvin Ham. So I mean, I just think hiring JJ, while it was such a head scratching move to some people out there, the man clearly knows basketball, and as long as he can keep those egos in check there, he'll be successful. And I love that for LeBron in his, the latter stages of his career. We get to see Bronny come to Cleveland. That'll be something that's pretty cool. I probably will never see that again in my life. I don't think any of us will, because I don't see anybody having the type of longevity to stay in the league while their son is old enough to come through. So I personally, I just don't think we'll see it in our lifetimes, but who knows? But having the opportunity to play against both Bronny and Bron in Cleveland, that's dope. Or at least I believe it's is the game in Cleveland? I need to double check. Yes, it's in Cleveland, but that one is definitely going to be cool. Tune In Sports says JJ knows ball. Indeed, he does. Very, very clear since the moment that he retired and, took the analyst position with ESPN and just constantly was constantly schooling Stephen A. Smith and others over there. And then you heard more of it in Mind the Game. And now you're seeing it play out in real time at the head coaching level. And I got to admit, I was a little skeptical. Even I don't care how much basketball you know. I don't care how much you feel like you know and how good you think you could be at the head coaching rank. Coming in with absolutely zero experience, not even as a head coach, but coaching experience, period, at the NBA level. Not even like as an assistant or anything like that. Not having no experience at all and coming in and looking that good. That's props to JJ for that. Real Talk says LeBron always turns into Goku Super Saiyan against us, and if the undefeated streaks are on the line, I'd expect nothing less. Personally, I think it's going to be a great game. I think Cleveland, honestly, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. The only team in the East that scares me is Boston. There are not really any teams right now. I got to say, there are not really any teams right now that truly terrify me out west. I mean, you can maybe the Thunder and Chet and SGA over there. They're not really any teams in the West that truly put the fear of God in me. Boston, they are always going to be somebody that we have to figure out how to get around, because the way that they play 5 out, the ability to shoot the ball and turn it on at the drop of a hat, that's a very tough thing to do. They have 2 of the NBA's top 15 players, and I was going to say Brunson, Jesus, and Brown and Tatum, and they just have 5 all-star caliber players in their starting 5 when healthy, and it's crazy, man. And then Al Horford, golly, they have so much talent over there. Real Talk also says, I think the only team in the league that scares me is Boston, but I think we match up well with them fully healthy. We do, assuming that Max Strus is available for that matchup, and Niang is, Niang's given a little bit more effort defensively, although I do believe George is in the best shape of his recent basketball career. And if Dean Wade is actually playing impactful on the offensive side of the ball, I do believe that we have what it takes to compete with them. J-Quest says, Cavs are playing a pretty good zone right now. I think Boston will be a great game. It absolutely will. I can't wait to see that matchup play out, but I'll take things one game at a time. Tonight's win was phenomenal. I cannot wait to post the highlight videos whenever I'm able to get those up. And man, this is a good way to end the night, man. This is a good way to end the night, because New York fans, they're always chirping. But with all due respect, fuck New York. I mean, I'm just at a place right now where don't talk to me, New York fans, about how much better your team is than Cleveland. Don't talk to me about how Cleveland didn't make any moves over the offseason. Don't talk to me about how bad our GM is. Just shut the fuck up for one day. One day. That's all I got to say. With that said, that's probably I'll end it there. As I always tell you guys, if you'd like to reach out to me, you know how you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you're watching over on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that like button. If it's your first time listening or streaming over on X, if you're over on X, go ahead and head over to YouTube, hit subscribe, hit like. It is something that is definitely appreciated, and it helps more than you know for algorithm purposes. If you're listening via Apple Podcasts and Spotify, make sure to leave a rating or review. That said, go Cavs. Have a good night.